Hey, guys, welcome. Sizwa bari spread the fire. How's it? My name is Kgosi FM, man, and welcome again to the Kgosietsile live show. Coming to you live every day, Monday to Friday, right here on Kgosi FM studios. You can see at the back. We are recording from Kgosi FM studios right here in Westview, Pretoria, West in Danville. We do live shows and we do reactionary videos as well. So today's a reactionary video. I'm a student of history myself. I done history ko skolong until ikifika matric, and then I always love what history has taught us, and I just love history. So I don't even know if you guys remember what happened in August 12 in 2000 in Marikana when miners were mowed down. So I came across this video, the full video, and then I wanted to share it with you guys so you guys can be able to watch and see and make up your minds about that. And then just fella where do we come from actually as people, and then do we really still see people by kids as leaders and proper leaders and fit to be in our government at the end of the day. Yeah. So I'm gonna give you the Marikana video, watch it and then react after it, please, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Please share, subscribe and like our videos, and let's make this channel, the Kgosietsile live show channel, big and big and big. But then remember, we have a sponsor every single day on this show, and then today we're going to be playing the sponsor, and then from there we're going to go back and watch the video. Take a listen. This show is brought to you by Segongane Medical Services and Clinic. They are a private clinic situated in number 70 Massacre in Westview, Danville. They specialize on the following: primary health care, ailment diagnosis and treatment, including medication, wound care, family planning, well baby clinic, basic ultrasound, laboratory blood services, treatment of chronic illnesses, treatment and management of patients on ARVs, wellness screening, antenatal clinic, HIV services and counseling. They have a pharmacy on site, and they are doing CCMDD services as well, OHS clinic, circumcision clinic and abortion services. Their cell phone number is 064 548 7176 or 071 422 8576. Again, the address is 70 Massacre in Westview, Pretoria West in Danville. Cell phone number again is 064 548 7176 or 071 422 8576. Yeah, we're back, and that is our sponsor for today, Segongane Medical Services and Clinic, right here in Westview, Pretoria West in Danville. Number 702 Massacre, that is the name of the street. And then that's another way for you guys to be able to support us and help us to grow this channel by advertising your businesses right here on Kgosi FM, which we are having the show, like I said, every single day from Monday to Friday, 7:30 to 9:30, reacting to videos and doing live shows, live interviews, as normal podcast do right here on Kgosi FM. But the name of the show that you're watching now is the Kgosietsile live show, and my name is Kgosietsile. I'm coming to you live on www.kgosiefm.co.za, and we are on a radio station again, by the way. That's why we are doing www.kgosiefm.co.za. So like I was saying, we are going to react today to Marikana video of what happened. Just want to remind you, again, just look into that video and tell me what you guys think and what you guys feel, and and then we take it from there. Because I'm not trying to open up old wounds. I just want us to remind ourselves of where we come from and where we are going as a country and we are going as a nation as well, and to ask ourselves questions that do some people who are leaders now in our government or leaders in our society, do they deserve to be leaders as well? So we'll talk about that after this video. So let's take a listen.
I was just doing it for
the sake of
for
we didn't follow the instruction. We did, but it was impossible to.
It's the 16th of August 2012. Outside the Lonmin Platinum Mine in Marikana in South Africa, 112 striking miners are shot down by police. 34 die. Like many other South Africans, the shooting shook me to the core. Events like this took me back to the massacres of apartheid. Sharpeville 1960, Soweto 1976. Killings like these led South Africans to support Nelson Mandela and his struggle for freedom. But today, these miners are being shot at by our new government to ensure that it's business as usual. We could see that lives were now being sacrificed for money, and that the young democracy we had so much hope for was under threat.
This is not a day to apportion blame. It is a day for us to mourn together as a nation. It is also a day to start rebuilding and healing.
The SAPS did all in its power to avert a situation such as this. And the police members had to employ force to protect themselves from the charging group. This is no time for blaming. This is no time for finger pointing. It is a time for us to mourn the sad and dark moment we experience as a country.
The Marikana Commission of Inquiry has sat for over a year. South Africans watch in a state of shock. Have the police been honest in their account? No, they have not. The big question remains: who sanctioned the order to use live ammunition against the strikers?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, my name is Dumisa Nsebeza. I appear for the following families: Mgcineni Noki, Mongezeleli Nteneja, Bongani Nqongophele, Cebisile Yawa, Jackson Lehupa, Semi Chokanis, David Fezile Sapendo, Thobisile Sibambele, Henry Mvuyisi Phato, Julius Dokoti Mangcodwa, Mzukisi Sombeta, Patrick Akona Jijase, Babalo Mchazi, Mafolisi,
Good morning, it's Friday 10th of August 2012. Allegedly illegal gathering by rock drill operators.
It's 6 days before the massacre. The mining company, Lonmin, is filming the miners as they gather outside the mine. A Lonmin security guard reports everything he sees.
Group allegedly wants to march to LPD building to speak to management with regards to salary and certain packages. Awaiting SAPs and backup to see if we can stop the crowd. Also awaiting feedback from senior management with regards to, will we let the crowd to march to LPD, or will we try to stop the crowd?
A crowd of rock drillers meet and march to the Lonmin management office. They believe the official majority union, the National Union of Mine Workers, are in the pockets of management, and so they've decided to take matters into their own hands. They are joined by workers from a competing union.
Complain ngemali yama-LDO encane 84,000. Sathi at least make simuvisele imali ngoba umsebenzi sobenzayo kopha later. Kodwa ke okubalulekileyo siyamazi umqeshi akaziba nayo le mali straight. Enye nenye nayo sobonisana nayo because sinemali encane kakhulu. Sabe sinenjongo uba at least bifikile ku-7,000. Figure up between bus figures is Tuzan, Kusfale security.
Only rubber rounds, low density rubber rounds, no SSG, no AAA. All of us declared. Only rubber round.
Abese kuphinda kufika security zifake into za tape about kusuka kwindawo esikuyo ukuya kuna tape yabe yanqomba by 15 meters siphumesa by 5 sathi asizathi uthina nawo ba sifuna ntoni what why nilapha singestrike so nanga amaphepha simphendule igama elithi no thina asifundanga njengoba sisi-LDO because of what asifundanga naw nangoku awuzusixelela ngefayile zamaphepha uba masifunda apha thina asifundanga into ebhalwe asiyazi.
Omnyama usebenza kabuhlungu usebenzele bukhoboka toti kufumanise kubutatakho uyosebenza bengumtshini boy uyodayofa okanye goduke engulo mtshini boy nawe uzotyiwa indlala pha kwenu ubone bayikhona mandiyeke lento bendiyenza noba bungabe bufunda bomama ndiyeke esisikolo ndihambe ndoba ngumtshini boy pha la kwezanto zamayini uphathwe ngunyana wala mntu ebephethe utatakho.
The average take-home pay of rock drillers is 5,000 South African rand, the equivalent of $500. This condemns them to poverty, they say. Mining companies like Lonmin view higher wages as the biggest threat to the continued health of the business. Lonmin is a British company which started drilling for platinum in South Africa 30 years ago. It employs 28,000 people, exporting the world's most precious metal out of the country and around the globe. The company has spent large sums of money on a massive program of expansion, leaving it financially vulnerable. The prospect of a long strike was the last thing they wanted.
We experienced a group of workers who started marching from the Vanderkop area towards this place, which we call LPD. These are the people who define mining. If they don't drill, there's no mining. So if they are not at work, it becomes obvious. They marched until the four-way junction, which is across the building here. And at that point, obviously, that's when the security engaged them. And at no point did this group of employees demonstrate they had anything to present.
A couple of months previously, Lonmin had met directly with that same strike committee to discuss their grievances, yet now they wouldn't talk to them. Why?
The story of the Marikana massacre would be incomplete without a close look at the involvement of Cyril Ramaphosa. I had watched him with admiration as he built the largest trade union the country had ever seen, the National Union of Mine Workers. Under Cyril's leadership, NUM saw the miners join the fight against apartheid, and I took my place marching side by side behind their banner.
It must be remembered that it was the mining industry, and specifically the Chamber of Mines, which pioneered the most oppressive features of apartheid South Africa.
Viva Comrade Sisulu, viva! Viva! Viva Comrade Mutlatsi, viva! Viva!
Mine workers have always had to put up with harsh living and working conditions. Cyril Ramaphosa was determined to change this. Under his leadership, workers were led into mass strikes and direct confrontation with the white mine owners. He was, for me, a vital and important person in the birth of the new South Africa.
There's no such thing as a liberal bourgeois. They are all the same. They use fascist methods to destroy workers' lives.
He soon became a leading member of the African National Congress, and from this position joined the black economic elite. Ramaphosa, who once saw South Africa's working class as a force to bring about change, now found himself on the other side of the table. At the time of the massacre, he was a board member of Lonmin.
We've gone through our waves of strikes, and we always have strikes because we have such a robust democratic system that allows workers to express themselves. And people should never be alarmed. This is the South African way. And we need to accept that. Workers will voice their dissatisfaction through withdrawing their labor. What we are against is that quite a number of those strikes have tended to turn violent. That is one behavior pattern that we need to get out of our system.
Ironically, the National Union of Mine Workers, NUM, the powerful union which Cyril Ramaphosa once led, was still the majority union inside the mines. But in the lead-up to the Lonmin strike, NUM had refused to address the low wages of their members. And when Lonmin management told the workers that they would only negotiate through the majority union, the workers decided to go back to NUM's office.
About 3,000 workers, strikers, march down to the NUM office. The people who are in the NUM offices, and there are probably about 30 branch officials and shop stewards, they'd been advised by the Lonmin security that the march was on its way, and if they didn't want to meet the march, then they should lock the building down and simply go home.
Into yasidinayo singabasebenzi beLonmin bubumenemene beunion esayikhethayo yentando yesininzi. Sadinwa ke iyo sabona ukuba asiyifumani imfuno zethu phofu ke imfuno yemali esiyifuna saqonda masiziyele singabasebenzi belonini.
The president or the general secretary of the local NUM branch, I forget which, decided that he would hand out weapons to each of the 30 people who were there. And they handed out pangas and spears, but he also handed out at least one gun.
Ininzi lethu beli under NUM, even me, bendiku NUM. Now, sizithathe idivision mama size straight kumqeshi yasokola. Nina nisokoli because niseze office. Class duze nokufika because sihamba siyimash but asiphethe even lutho sihamba siso. Office sajikela ngemva zasihlangabeza. Savulela ngembumbulo sasidubula. Singakakhulu.
They were shot at from the offices of the NUM. And in fact, for a long time thereafter, it was not denied that 2 employees were shot at that stage.
Sibaleka sibheke phi lapha erenkini ematex. If usibaleka ngeke ngabona omunye umtsha waphansi ngitshela ukuthi maybe ushayiwe, hayi ngathena ngabuya kule mbhobo lephuma ku stop nonsense. Ngithena ngisahamba emva kwale row, kune row ekhona lapha enkompolo. Ngithengiswa ngeswa kuyabanda la emuva la. Ngeke ngazama ukubaleka. Ngawacela namadoda bengibaleka kunye na ngatshela amadoda sengishayiwe ngithutshuliwe manje.
The National Union of Mine Workers denies any of their members attacked workers and insist that their branch leadership were acting in self-defense.
NUM would not encourage any sort of that, but NUM would understand if its people believe that they are under threat to their lives and our office under threat, that they will, at the spark of the moment, decide to take a stand. As I've said that as an NUM, we believe that those people in that circumstances found themselves and we don't condemn what they did.
In many respects, that was a complete turning point because up until that point, there'd been very little violence. I'm not saying there wasn't any violence. People say there was a bit of intimidation. I really don't know about it. But no one was being killed.
Sibalekile ke ngosikhathi. Siphinda dibana foot in the side here. A grounding after izangoma. So planning ntoni is better siyohlala entabeni because napha stadium sihleli khona ngesazi masohlala entabeni intaba yona ayixoxisi ngekanoma ngubani.
11/08/2012.
Every time the miners gather, the Lonmin security guard keeps a keen eye on them.
After a shooting incident of 2 people allegedly from Korea area, the situation is fairly calm at this stage. No direct threat to security.
As a reaction to NUM shooting at their own members, the conflict grows. Lonmin rock drillers from the nearby Korea shaft join the strike in numbers. They belong to the competing union, the Association of Construction and Mine Workers Union, AMCU. AMCU's leader, Joseph Matunjwa, like Ramaphosa 20 years before him, is fighting the system and believes NUM has become far too close to mine management and government. He soon becomes an important player in the unfolding events at Marikana.
Comrade, when we voted 1994, we thought that the working class is liberated. The only thing that we benefited is to change the administration which was run by the white collar. Then is our challenge now, ukuthi thina masesibona ukuthi sesizoyithola inkululeko sizobona ngokushintsha isystem.
On the 12th, they decide that they're going to go back to the NUM offices. This time, I think that they're in fear and that they take their own course of action. And they are stopped, really, by Lonman security guards. Now, not much is known of what happened on that day. I mean, there is a suggestion that these guards, who I have to say are poorly paid, ordinary black working class people who are sent out to confront on behalf of this multinational firm of exploiters the demonstration that's coming to them. But whatever happened, 2 guards were killed, and one of them in particular was burned to a cinder.
I therefore have placed the remaining years of my life in your hands.
Cyril Ramaphosa was close to Nelson Mandela. We thought he would succeed the Mandela presidency. After the massacre, I was hoping to have an honest discussion about what really took place at Marikana. But he quickly made it clear that he would speak only in general terms until appearing before the commission.
We're not the first country to have a wave of strikes. Let's just get that clear. Many countries, both middle-income countries, low-income countries, and your high-income countries, have been through waves of strikes. And many of those strikes in some countries have even toppled governments.
You know, it wasn't as if the 16th was a day isolated from context. You have to look back to the Monday before that Thursday, when a group of 150 to 200 miners went from that copy to Korea 3 mine, where they heard there were still some miners working and they wanted to tell them to down tools. Intimidation, solidarity, you can call it what you want. They were turned back by the security of the mine, who told them, go back with that route. They went back with that route. Halfway back to that copy, they were met by a cordon of police. Unusually, led by the Deputy Commissioner for the Northwest, General Mpembe.
Kodwa sinenkinga, inkinga yethu ngilezi zinto eniziphethe azikho emthethweni. Manje mayibeke ngifuna kuhamba ngiqala umuntu ngamunye anginikeze lezi zinto. Hop, lalelani ke, lalelani.
Lo into lo thina cela lapha kanina. Thina cela lokuhamba lapha lo ndawo lo thinahlaba. Ngafuna ukuthi alondela nawo. Ngengana nje uthacela nayilwile. Thina amadlala lapho lo ndawo kuhlala. Kalomgqibelo. Thina buyile lapho lo ndawo kathina. Labantu lo ama-security kalo mine. Elafikile jubula thina nalabantu kalo nawo. Balabulala umuntu lapha kathina. Yana lo ndawo thina phathile lo into lo. Thina ilwile nalo muntu.
Yebo baba.
Number 1. Nina maphoyisa straight. Nina maphoyisa straight. Thina khona lapha ka road me. Thina lungisa lo Marika thina lapha road me. Thina chopha phasi mgodi. Thina iyilwa nalo munye moto yena khona lo into lo thina funa lungisa.
And you then begin to understand the standpoint of those employees. They say, by the way, we have no issue with you as the police. Now, that's very fundamental. It's like they want to remind everybody, including the police, that in a democracy, workers negotiate with the employers. The police should not be this shield between employees' rights and employers' obligations. The very interesting part about it is when the negotiation between General Mpembe and some of the worker leaders, including Tsineni Nok, the so-called man in the green blanket, Mambush. Now, when it is clear that the employees have put their position, look, if you want to disarm us, it's okay, but you need to escort us from here to the mountain.
Niyosinikeza zona kuphi? Laphi entabeni?
General Mpembe reaches a stage where he says, now let me get you straight. Are you saying if we escort you to the mountain, when you get there, you'll hand over the weapons to us? And they say yes. And at that point, he gets a telephone call.
The police have given them ample time.
In fact, when one looks at that clip, this attitude is radical before and after that phone call.
Hey, ngifuna imkhonto. Ngifuna imkhonto. Phela yonke into and manje mangingatholi imkhonto ngeke ngimdedele. Ngiyakaunta ke. Ngiyakaunta.
They go into their song and they just get up and they go. And again, to his credit, at that point, General Mpembe doesn't say, shoot these buggers. He allows them. They march and they simply provide a corridor.
This group of miners were walking slowly, deliberately. From the video footage you see, they don't seem to pose any threat. Suddenly, you see tear gas being fired by one of the nyalas, some shots fired. They get ignored. They just keep going. And there's a line of police jogging alongside them on the one side. There's armored vehicles. Keeps going. Another volley of shots and tear gas, and the miners crack and break.
This. As the people are beginning to run, do you agree that from what we see, people start running around after the stun grenades have been thrown and exploded? It's only then that people start running around.
Correct, Chairperson. None of the commanders admits having given an instruction. In fact, somebody, you told us, alleged that you had given the instruction, and you were quite emphatic that that was not true. But none of the commanders gave the order according to the instructions, according to the information that you have. So the whole thing is very puzzling, isn't it?
And in that chaos, 3 miners are killed, one of whom seems to have been stabbed to death. And it's unclear who caused that death in what circumstances. Also, 2 cops get caught up and get killed.
Two strikers were not killed at the scene. 2 strikers were killed perhaps 300 meters, another 800 meters from that scene. My interpretation is that these 2 strikers were fleeing and running away from the scene and were pursued by police officers. One in particular, I believe that when he was perhaps 800 meters away from the scene and was running through a river and up the bank on the other side, I believe he was targeted by a police officer and was shot, and I describe that as being an execution. People took cell phone pictures of the dead police, and this circulated through all police circles. Every single province got these. 2 policemen had been killed. Now, to be realistic, we know that cops have a kind of ironclad rule. You take us out, we're going to take you out. You don't get away with killing policemen. That's police forces across the world, actually.
It's 2 days before the massacre. Already a total of 9 people have been killed, with the latest, a NUM official being marked by a cow's skull, the sign of a traitor. Conflict between the strikers and NUM goes from bad to worse.
It worries us more as to what is the motive, because no organization worth its salt can embark on this barbaric way of raising issues. And we believe that the partners know that NUM will never be involved in this kind of a barbaric way of dealing with issues.
Lonmin begins its campaign of pinning responsibility for the violence on the striking miners.
We did not anticipate this type of violence, and I don't think any organization in this country could ever anticipate this type of violence, because it's not normal. So that's why we're looking and searching and using the police, particularly the crime intelligence, to understand the root cause of the situation.
Ronnie Casseroles joined the fight against apartheid in the 1960s, following the Sharpeville massacre. He sat on the National Executive Committee of the ANC for 20 years and was considered by the white minority regime as one of their most dangerous opponents.
Why the use of police force armed to the teeth against 2,000-3,000 miners who were not occupying mining property or territory? We're not occupying any strategic point. We're not blocking the national highway or any minor road. They were seated at a distance from any key point.
The High Police visibility and presence will remain until the situation is completely stable.
And currently we are seeing sort of a standoff here between police and mine workers. What are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, this is part of our phased approach in terms of discussing and negotiating with the protesters, and that's the process that we're busy with at this stage.
I'm not at all sure why they brought in a hostage negotiator to try and negotiate with 3,000 strikers. It does seem bizarre, particularly as the strikers who always said, we want to negotiate, but we want to negotiate with management.
They are coming.
Okay, they're coming forward. We've got 5 people coming forward.
They are coming, Colonel.
Okay. Talk to them and tell them, please, they must leave any weapons there. We're going to talk without weapons. It's our promise that nothing will happen to them. It's a promise.
The National Police Commissioner ordered Lonman to produce photographs of the demonstrators. She then ordered Lonman to identify the ringleaders.
I need to indicate that the management did assist me to identify some of the strikers, and the others said that they will also continue to assist me to identify them from the photos.
But what is clear is that the person that they would have identified, because he was the main negotiator, is Mr. Noki, the man in the green blanket. What we know about Mr. Noki is that he has 14 bullet holes in him. He is dead.
Well, we can't hear, that's the problem. That's the problem.
Because he doesn't hear. Can I move forward? Can I move forward?
Okay, stop, Kali, He's asking, can you turn the motor off so we can talk? We need to tell him we cannot.
We cannot.
To be heard over the noise of the running engine, strike leader Mambush climbs onto the armoured vehicle to talk to the police hostage negotiator.
Thank him. Macintosh, what's your name? Kamala. Okay. He's saying he's tired.
Bana silwi sihleli. Kaze funa umqatsheze kurezo siphendula ngemali esifunayo. Kuphela. Sikwazi futhi emsebenzini. Kodwa engakasiphendula imali esifunayo. Asizisuka apha. Singazisuswa ngabo lamaphoyisa lapha.
But Lonman continued to refuse to meet the strikers. What happened next was only discovered a year into the commission, when the police were ordered to hand over files that they had hidden. It is a transcript of a conversation that took place 2 days before the massacre between an executive of Lonmin and the Provincial Commissioner of Police. It reveals the state and Lonmin putting their heads together on how to break the strike before it spread to other mines.
We need to act such that we kill this thing.
Immediately, yes.
When tomorrow we have to move in, if today we do not find cooperation in these people, we need to move in such that we kill it.
So I agree with you, Commissioner. If we can arrest these people, because the longer it goes, it is giving all the other opportunists to comment and seize the opportunity, and then it gets out of control.
That is it.
So I think yes. Let tomorrow be the D-Day where we issue the ultimatum and say, if you do not show up for work, sorry, that is it.
To
right, it is 8 minutes after 8. We say good morning to you. Welcome to the Forum at 8 here on SAFM, South Africa. I'm going to start with the National Union of Mine Workers president who's here with me in studio, Senzeni Zogwana. A very good morning to you, sir. I thank you for your time.
Morning, Kolani.
In our Pretoria studios, we are joined there by Mr. Bernard Mokoena. He is Executive Vice President at Lonmin. Mr. Mokoena, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Also, I'm joined here in the studio by Joseph Matunjwa. He is the president of AMCU. A very good morning to you, Mr. Matunjwa.
As they were marching to gather at the stadium, guys came out of the offices of NUM, fired at the workers.
There was no firing at anybody on Friday. This further confirms my view that AMCU was behind the march. The fact that...
One way of achieving that is if the leaders of the two the unions come together, go there publicly together and say, okay, for now, let's go back to work.
We are ready. Is the car outside ready to take us there?
Is that too difficult? These are difficult times.
I'm saying, Kolani.
Mr. Mokoena?
Yes, Kolani, our position as management is as follows. We agree people must be disarmed. We want to meet the structures of the unions to discuss any grievance or concern in the most civilized manner, without pangas and without guns. We can do it now. We can do it as soon as possible.
We are ready. Let's go then. Let's go.
Right.
Let's go to that mountain.
Is that an agreement?
During a radio interview, the leaders of the trade unions agree on air to address the miners at the mountain. Lonmin's Bernard Mokoena remains silent about whether he will join them.
On the drive towards Marikana, I thought I'd reached it. I'd never been there before. I thought I'd reached it because there were all these armored vehicles, police armored vehicles and private security vehicles with fully dressed tactical guys in uniforms I'd never seen, military gear, no policing gear. It was all automatic, semi-automatic rifles, the R5s and R6s. And I stopped there thinking I'd reached the kind of front line of the police, but they were all eating and having a pee and, the passing time. So I kept going and eventually got to the right spot. And it was clear that this thing was going to be a huge conflict.
Miners shut down so Ramaphosa takes 6.
One person who commanded the respect of all parties and who might have been able to resolve the conflict was Cyril Ramaphosa, because the former mine worker leader is now one of the most influential politicians inside the ruling party. Did it ever cross your mind to, go to the mountain, to speak to the workers?
I prefer not to answer that one, because if I ever go to give evidence, I'll have to deal with things like that.
Email communication was uncovered at the commission, showing Cyril Ramaphosa energetically lobbying government ministers to increase police presence and pressing for action to be taken against the miners.
Chairperson, we have in our possession emails that were being exchanged between the mine management, the government, the Minister of Minerals and Energy, which talk about discussions with the Minister of Police, at the center of which is a gentleman called Cyril Ramaphosa.
Cyril Ramaphosa writes about the discussions he had with the Minister of Mining, Susan Shabangu.
She agrees that what we are going through is not a labor dispute, but a criminal act. She is going into cabinet and will brief the president as well and get the Minister of Police, Natim Tetwa, to act in a more pointed way. Let's just keep the pressure on them to act correctly.
I'm interrupting you, but what is the date of that email that you...
It is the 15th of August, 2:58, exactly 24 hours before the people were mowed down at that mountain. Cyril Ramaphosa, advised that what was taking place are plainly, I'm quoting now, dastardly criminal and must be characterized as such. In line with this characterization, there needs to be concomitant action to address this situation. That at the heart of this was the toxic collusion between the SAPS and lawmen at the direct level. At a much broader level, it can be called a collusion between the state and capital.
Black people who get into white-owned companies through the Black economic empowerment process then get into a system, one which is very reluctant to change, and two, which they don't own completely and which they don't control. So at best what they do, or what we do, is to be advocates.
After the radio broadcast, Joseph Matunjwa, the leader of UMCU, arrives at the mountain with the NUM leadership in an attempt to persuade the workers to return to work, on the basis of a commitment made on air by Lonmin management that they were now willing to talk.
Joseph Matunjwa told me that he confidently expected that when he arrived that there would be a meeting between himself, Mr. Zukwana, and the Lonmin management. Instead, what he found was General Mpembe. He asked, would the trade union leaders go up to the mountain to speak to the strikers and to say, leave your arms there, leave the mountain, just leave. A small delegation from NUM went first, and they went in an armored truck. And the armored truck approached the mountain, and the strikers were told that inside the truck was the president of the National Union of Mine Workers, and that he wasn't getting out of the truck. It was clear from the reception that they simply didn't want him. They did not want him there. Well, Joseph had a much better reception. Again, he was not allowed by the police to get out of the armored truck.
To get into the hard body, and then just in front of them, they stand there.
No, what we
inside.
What we simply say, you can come with your Nyala, but we'll just walk. On our own, we just go and talk to them.
No.
The general decision was no.
These are human beings. These are human beings.
Sisa ukhokhela ku. Sithema simxelela kumqashi kuba uma abasebenzi bazawufinyelela ukuya empangelweni lezi khalo zabo okanye lezinto ezitya umusi uzawuthethisana nenyunyani yabo nangestructure sabo abasikhethileyo de ukuba lezinto nizifunayo zifinyelelelwe kuzo.
He made headway, and the strikers came to him and said, look, it's late in the day, it's getting dark. What we'd like you to do is to come back at 9 o'clock in the morning. But more significantly, he was telling them that if they were to leave the mountain, then management would address their grievances. In other words, they'll at least speak to them. So he went back and he reported that both to the police and to the London management, and in fact, what Joseph Matunja says, is that they were really optimistic. I mean, General Mpembe, he said, in fact, saluted him and said, well done. And one of the other London managers said, yes, congratulations, maybe we can do that. And so there was a sort of chink. There was a light there. There was something that could be developed.
Remember that we said our intention is to disarm the people, and also our intention is to make sure the people that they leave that illegal gathering area where they are, and that is what we will do today. And I said to you, we wish that we will do that still amicable, meaning we will ask them to leave. But then, I don't want to explain to you if they don't, what then. What I told you is, today we are ending this matter.
Well, we have statements from the National Commissioner and the Provincial Commissioner which make clear that the night before, the Provincial Commissioner had informed the National Commissioner that if SAPS could not persuade the strikers to lay down their weapons and leave the Kopi by negotiations, she would issue an instruction for the strikers to be dispersed. After deliberations, the meeting endorsed the proposal to disarm the protesting masses and further indicated that additional resources must be made available upon needs identification by the Provincial Commissioner Northwest.
The most foreboding indication of the intentions of those who placed an order for 4 mortuary vans from the morgue. What else are you anticipating? It's a statement of anticipation of what is going to happen.
Can we now please move on to the morning of 16 August 2012?
We then requested one of the security to call Mr. Kwadi and to advise him that we have arrived. As we were inside the office, he said he doesn't have a good news for us. He was referring to the commitment made by the management that once the workers renounce violence, leave arms, and return back to work peacefully, the management, we will engage to their grievances.
We now know that this was a joint operation between Lonman and the police, that Lonman was completely integrated into the police strategy and assisted the police strategy. It provided a senior executive to be part of the police team. They briefed the police officers and senior generals at least once every day. They provided helicopters and went out on surveillance expeditions with the police. They provided detention facilities. And at the very end of the day, after all the killings were done, they provided the Lonman game farm for the debriefing.
Are we to believe that even Major General Pieha had not cleared this with her principal, the Minister of Police?
Did you make a telephone call to the minister reporting to him the killings that had taken place at Marikana on the 13th of August 2012? Do you remember me asking you that question?
You've asked me a lot of questions. It could have been one of those.
General, this is a simple question. Are you suggesting that you do not remember, for a fact, you do not remember me asking you that question?
I have had a number of questions from you, and that could have been one of those.
Killings on such a large scale, would that have been a matter of concern to your minister?
I said yes.
If it was or would have been, what, if anything, did the minister do?
I have already given my response to this one. As a political leader, he gives us leadership in that space and support. If I have failed maybe to answer in a manner that is appreciated, maybe I'm short of answering your question.
16 ekuseni mazifikayo ezihiphu zifika zigcwalisa zangaziluhlu konke zihiphu ziveni zitruck kube netruck futhi ebuyileyo eyi1 yafika ema ngapho kana private hambe kapha eyamajoni itruck inamajoni lapha ngasemva layishwe futhi emaningi wona kakhulu.
By mid-morning, it had become clear to the miners that Lonmin had gone back on their commitment to talk to them.
Tinafuna hamba lapha kayena nathina ukuthi thina phelisana ukuthi kanjani wena kubani wena sala lonalo thinakhona noko lamaphoyisa noko thina futhi yena kanti yena noskhethi yena lamaphoyisa betele la jaya thina tinahamba noskhethi thina tinasala betele lamaphoyisa tinahamba lapha kayena tinabuka kanjani tinasiyenza.
The question I ask you is this. The decision that you say you took to implement stage 3, was that decision taken because there had been an escalation? Or was it taken even though there hadn't been an escalation? That's the question. What's the answer?
Chairperson, according to paragraph 23, no escalation, but what...
Fine, so your answer is the decision to implement stage 3, which you say you took, and conveyed to the Provincial Commissioner, was taken not because of escalation, but just the fact that even though there wasn't escalation.
The life of a black person in Africa is so cheap. Bayosibulala, basigqibe, baphinde futhi bathola abanye, babafake, bababhadale lemivuzo enenzinto empilweni zomuntu omnyama. Okungukuthi siyobe sihlulekile, kodwa amakapitali yoba yiwona winayo. Kodwa sinendlela esenikhombisa yona ukuthi nayo indlela kufanele kuhanjwe ngayo. Siyaqala-ke bafowethu, odadewethu, bodada, ndiyaguqa ngedolo, ndiza kuni ngingento yalutho. Ndithi masivikele leli gazi, i-NUM esavumelene nomqashi ukuba maliphalale. Asifuni igazi elizophalala, kodwa sifuna izinkinga zenu nemivuzo yenu mayitholakale, comrade.
I still remember vividly the face of those workers. I still remember my words I said. When Xolani Mkambi of ETV asked me, what now? I said, all this is in God's hands. I'm a mortal man. Those were my words. I'm a mortal man. God.
Immediately following Joseph Mutunjwa's passionate plea, over 1,000 miners decided to leave the mountain and make their way home.
We have been in negotiations with this gathering for quite a few days. And part of that was that we can reach an amicable solution for them to drop their weapons and disperse. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem as if negotiations have proven successful. And the South African Police Service is going to have to go over to a tactical phase to ensure that we take weapons away from those gathered here. For that, I need all the media behind our vehicles.
Yasuka ihippie bipha yaqhotha i-raise wire ukuhla xa ifika pha yaphela straight nehippie bipha yesibini yafika nale yadonga la raise wire yehla nayo kuya phansi sithe mayipha phansi xa cabi yapha ngesibayeni sathi no siyavalela comrade masihambeni
umuntu owayeyithethile lonto umamboshi watsho wathi basebenzi kungcono sihambe kule ndawo awalantu kakhuphe imipu masimkeni kule ndawo kodwa singabalekile ngoba senza nganto la madoda sizitholele ingoma yethu toti sidoda siyofika kwindawo zethu zokuhlala nyani yatsho ingoma abantu bahamba.
apho sithe masiya phaa duze ne-opposite nesibaya sabe sifike sivala kwezipho.
Ukufa into endandiyijongile ngoku ndandibona manyani ngoku ndiyafa qha ndifa ndingenzanga nto fe ndingayolelanga noyolela ekhaya kwaye kukufa endandijongene naye bona uba ndifela imali
15 to 20 minutes after the initial shooting, when all the commanders should have said, "What? You've shot how many people? Stand down. Stand down." They went and carried on hunting down people for 20 minutes. When I saw what the Commission and the police call Scene 2, which is the small copy several hundred meters away from the stuff we saw on television, it was clear that this was nothing like what had happened at the first scene.
Into eyenzekayo abantu babethi kwexesha baxhome izandla bacela uxolo badutyulwe.
We know from the examination of the scene by forensic officers that, for example, they found cartridges on tops of the rocks. We know that they found dead bodies at the bottom of the rocks. Now, I would conclude there's a strong possibility that officers stood and shot people who were at the bottom of the rock. I mean, you're talking at a distance of perhaps only 2, 3, 4 meters.
The police seemed to stick to their self-defense story. They kept repeating the same thing, even though it was blindingly obvious, and you had dozens of witnesses talking about people trying to surrender, being killed, repeatedly shot as they were trying to surrender, not just once, coming up 2, 3 times with their hands, shot repeatedly.
Another one. Okay, forward. Forward. Turn left. 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 No. Left. And you want to pay the lump sum lump. There's a muti there. Yeah. All over the boat. Yeah. Leave it. Yeah, but that's a muti shit. Yeah. Doesn't work, Baba. So now. Stand up, Just stay forward. Hey, we are going forward. Stay forward. I want to run circle. Blom, ready position, boss.
Sifune mali safaze hlupelo sifune mali safaze hlupelo sifuna imali, 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 yephi imali. Safaze hlupheko, sifuna imali, sifuna imali, sifuna imali.
Let us take note of the fact that whatever happened represents the best of responsible policing. You did what you did because you were being responsible. You were making sure that you continue to live your oath of ensuring that South Africans are safe and that you equally are a citizen of this country and safety starts with you.
But who looked out for the safety of our lowly paid miners? Surely it should have been those who worked so tirelessly for our struggle for freedom, those who now hold the reins of political power.
It is the time to point finger, in the first place, to point finger at those whose fingers pulled the trigger, but the foot soldiers. What about those who pull the strings, who give the orders, and who are they? Tell me, who are they? Minister of Police? President? He's got to answer. This is what we want to see from a commission. And the president and the ministers in a security cluster. I've been there, I know how it works. And if the police carried this out without that kind of instruction, then what are they guilty of in terms of the way they dealt with that situation? You see, heads need to roll at a very high level. And we don't want to see a commission of inquiry that whitewashes things, that keeps the lid on, that in the end will apportion blame to the strikers, to the union splits, to the mine owners, and so on. What about the politicians who are the ones responsible?
Yeah, and we're back. We're back. We're back. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't have much to say. It's just one of those things that you end up not knowing what to say or what to do after watching that. And you kind of think, Hori, greed. When the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil, that's what you get when poor people that are working for you are asking you for help, and you order police to shoot them down only because you're looking at the profits. 12,500 was not enough. Was just a little dent, a small dent. Will be a small little dent. It will, this big, let me just put this table here, like you guys can see. Will be this huge table. And you'll be this huge table, and 12.5 will be this little ornament here. You know, if they could have given them that 12,500 rents, but they didn't. They rather shot them down, and they rather mowed them down. And one of the people in our government now, who's the leader of this government now, was in the center of this thing, and he is the one that ordered that conglomerate action be taken against the miners. And we know what happened after that. You saw the video yourself. So what is your reaction to this? I'm so sorry for the families that will watch this, and this will remind them of what happened to their loved ones who came here for work. I'm so sorry for that. I do believe that God is alive, and God will help you heal from this tragedy. I didn't want to remind you of what happened, but it's history. It's part of what we are, and it's part of who we are. And there's no way you can be able to hide that and say, "Oh, we can't watch this because of." I'm sorry for that, but we just had to go back, you know, because South Africans now are being made to forget where we come from. We are being made to feel bad about talking about our past. But the very people who actually oppressed us for years, so they want to make us feel as if what we are doing is wrong, and we cannot talk about it. So, comment below, guys, and please let me know what you think about today's show and what mood you want us to react to. Any video that you have, let us know. We'll find it and we can react it here. And please comment to us, comment and tell me your theories and your suggestions about this thing, or what do you want to see next. Because we are here for you. We are Questions on our Life show. We are here for you every day, 7:30 to 9:30 in the evening on www.kgosiefm.co.za. Yeah, thank you so very much. Have a lovely night further. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, and like our video, and then we'll meet again in the next video.